Hello, I'm Maya Andreasen, and today we're going to continue with the video series where we take our tree that we created and the different tree branches and leaves, and we apply them in Substance. So this video is just going to go over how we import the various maps we created, bake everything, and how we apply an opacity map. So let's get started, shall we? So I'm going to make a new file because we're going to start from scratch. So this is just showing what I have, what I created so far with the tree file and the leaves that I created in Maya. So we're going to create a new scene, and we're just going to make this 2K for the purposes of this tutorial. I need to go select the file, so I'm going to select my tree low here. And we need to import some maps. So when you create maps outside of texture maps outside of Substance, you can import them under the new project window under import mesh normal maps and baked maps for all materials. So we're going to add here. So we're going to go to source images, and we're going to add our branch normal and our branch's color ID. And we are going to open those. Okay. And then we're going to click OK. Okay, so we have our file in here. It is here. And let's kind of talk about a couple of the things that we see here and what we're going to have to keep an eye on. So we have Lambert 1 and Lambert 2. If I go to my 3D and 2D views, so the texture map I created, it is all one texture map, but because, and this might be done accidentally or on purpose, because the tree trunk has Lambert 1 applied to it in Maya, and the tree leaves had Lambert 4, that actually exports. So when you make an FBX, it's going to export the FBX with the two different shaders that were applied to any object that was in your scene, even if that object has been combined. So my object was combined, but I actually forgot to just apply Lambert 4 to everything. And that's okay though, because sometimes these things happen, and I do want to show you how you can apply things and apply them correctly if it does happen where you have more than one shader from another program that's in your Substance. Okay, so let's get started. So we need to go to texture set settings because we do need to bake our mesh maps. Things will not work properly if you don't. So this is going to be 2048 by 2048. I'm going to unclick ID under my mesh maps because I'm importing a custom color ID map. And I don't need to bake a normal map either because I'm going to bake a normal map for my tree trunk, but not for I won't use the one for the leaves. Okay, so we do have a high poly mesh here, I believe. So we're going to go to scenes and grab it, tree high. So we have tree high, we have tree low. And we're going to keep all of our other settings the way they are. And then we are going to bake selected textures, and it should bake everything. So we'll have several collections of maps. Okay. All right, so we're going to focus over here on, oopsie, let's go to 3D only. We're going to focus over here on our texture maps for Lambert 4, and that Lambert 4 is to the tree leaves. So we're going to select the color ID map here because that color ID map is specifically for the tree leaves. And then we're also going to get rid of this map and apply the normal map we created in Maya that we baked out in Maya. So we're going to apply that too. And I don't believe we need these world space normals. And sure enough, once I get rid of them, you can see voila, we have the normal maps that we baked are here, which is great. Now, there's a couple other things that we need to do. We need to apply a transparency and opacity map to this guy as well. Now, before I get into that, I'm going to delete this and I'm going to create a fill layer. And that fill layer, let's move this up so we can see its properties. We don't need metal. We're just going to get rid of the height. We need the normal, but do we need roughness? With leaves, there might be a little bit of iridescence, so maybe we'll play around with it a little bit. Let's see. Yeah. Let's bring that down a bit. Okay. And we are going to change the color. So right now, we're just going to kind of apply a base color, and we'll play around with it a little bit more. And we'll just call this leaves base. And then we are going to right mouse press and apply add a mask with the color selection. And we're going to pick that color, and that color is going to be the green of the color ID. So we have that. And then we're going to make another fill, and this one is going to be called leaf branches. Well, actually, we just call it branches. Base. And we're going to change that to brown. So, and you can always change to brown, but we'll just have it as a space for right now. And we're going to add a mask with color selection. We'll zoom in a bit so we can see a little bit better. You can also bring up your UV map, and then we're just going to click the brown here, so we have this. Now if you need to, right, we can always up our tolerance so that we kind of fill in a little bit this white kind of outline that you can get. So you can up the tolerance in your color selection options for your color ID mask to fix that the kind of pixelated white outline that you might get. Okay, so the next thing we need is we need to apply opacity to these leaves so that they actually look like leaves, and we don't see kind of the cutout, right? So we get more of that illusion of a whole bunch of leaves. So what we need to do is we actually are going to go over here to shader settings. And in shader settings under ASM Metal Rough, I'm going to click this and we're going to get some options. And I want to go to my PBR Metal Rough with Alpha Blending option, and I'm going to click that. So that's going to change things and allow for us to have an opacity channel. So we're going to go back to texture set settings. Here, let's move this down. We're going to go back to texture set settings, and under channels we're going to hit this plus sign, and as you can see there's now an opacity channel, and so we have added this. So now this is an option, and we can go we can move this back up, go back to layers, right, and we are going to make a new layer. It's going to be a fill. Let's move it up here. We're going to call this opacity. We are going to make it not white, so we don't need normal, metal, rough, height. We just need color, and this is really important. If you keep this white, what's going to happen is you're going to see kind of a white outline around your leaves, and I'll show you later. Right now we're just going to move this over to kind of a darker green. And then we are going to play around with the opacity, but in order to do that we need to apply our mask again. So we're going to add mask with color ID, and we're going to pick the color, and we're going to pick two colors. We're going to pick the both the stems and the leaves. Remember, we can up that tolerance just a little bit. And then we're going to go back to, if you click on the color again, we're going to go back to opacity. Oh, and I'll see, if you can see, we played with our opacity and everything disappeared. So what we need to do is right mouse press on our mask and we need to invert the mask. And once we do that, we can bring down that opacity and voila, we have our lovely tree leaves, and we have them and they look like they're a bunch of individual leaves. Now, really quickly, just to neaten this up a bit, I would recommend, selecting all these layers, grouping them, and this folder, I would call this G for group, and this would be leaves, because obviously you're going to want to be working on your tree trunk as well, and that's going to be a separate folder, so you can close it, you can open it, you can manipulate it how you want. If you want to add more texture to the leaves, like you saw with that I did before, we can add another fill layer. And let's see, we can go to our smart masks here, and we can play around with them, and we can just affect like the color channel here. Let's see what might be fun. Edges, dust stain. Well, let's do that, and we can like bring that over here. This can be our fill layer, our mask editor. And right now it's white, right? So if you don't want that to be white, if you wanted that to be like red or maybe a blue or an aqua might be cool, right? And then we can go a little bit further with this, and we can change kind of how like this. These are all of the different modes that are in Photoshop too. So you could apply multiply or overlay, or let's see, color burn that makes it really dark, or soft light that makes it really subtle. They have linear burn, just all of these different modes. Exclusion. Oh, let's see. Let's go to multiply for right now. And then the other thing you can do is you can go to this mask editor. I probably want to name this too. So this was like dust stained, I think, or something like that. So so we're just going to name it that. So you go to the mask editor itself, and in the generator you can play around with its parameters. So we can make this true instead of false, and we get this effect, which is really, really cool. And that's a really fast way to add some changes to this. Now these leaves, they're a little bit shiny, so we're gonna go back to our main leaf channel, and in the roughness, we're gonna bring that roughness on down. These leaves do not need to be that shiny, and we're gonna do the same thing here. Metal height, we don't need that. Yeah, these are really, really reflective and shiny. So we're going to bring down that roughness a whole bunch. Maybe not completely. I don't know. I might turn off the roughness channel with this. I haven't decided yet. I don't know if I want a little bit of glint on my the bark of my tree branches. But anyways, that is how you would apply those texture maps that we created in Maya to your substance, and how you can start really getting a really fun effect with our tree. Until next time, I'm Maya Andreasen. Bye bye.